What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. I also am a featured contributor to the Fly Nubian Queen Network, which has now over 580,000 subscribers and just keeps on growing. And I have to say thank you. Last week you did a replay, enough people watched the replay. So I was blown away by that. So thank you. And that's I want to get it right. The tagline is the place where Black women have a voice. So that's the tagline of the Fly Nubian Queen Network. Also, just want to put it out there. March 25th, you'll also be able to catch edited versions of Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa on the Indie Soup Media Network, which is Independent Creators Network that is driving force by a lovely friend named Dr. Tachi. And the reach of that network is over 1 million people. So lots of people, lots of things. And already people jumping in already on the Fly Nubian Queen Network. So you know what? I'm going to get the 2 stars. You know what? I'll get the 2 stars to show up right quick because no one's here for me. They're here for them. So I think LaLa's having some technical difficulties, but Aisha, are you there? You are on mute, Aisha.
Yes, I am here and ready to go.
Okay. LaLa, can you hear us? Because you're frozen. I don't hear you, LaLa. All right, so I'm going to pull her off. All right, so we weren't on last week, Aisha, and I'm speaking that LaLa will get her stuff together eventually, but what's been going on in your world?
Oh, nothing. Just, kind of trying to make sense of the nonsense going on in our movie. So much happened this week. It's like it feels like 2 weeks passed in a period of 7 days. And LaLa and I covered so much in our 10
on 10.
10 and 10, yeah. So we covered a lot of different stories that we're not going to cover here, of course. But one of the things that we covered was that Tish James is back. So Trump can't say that she just goes after him. She's going after this predatory lender in New York State that they fronted as if they were a regular loan company or a regular check cashing company. Yeah, check cashing company kind of thing, like a check advance company. And what they were actually doing was giving short-term loans to businesses and charging upwards of 820% in interest. So there was one company LaLa and I were talking about that was paying $2,000 a day.
What?
Yeah.
For what?
$2,000 a day.
For what?
On their small business loan from this company.
Just fees.
Fees. And 820% interest. And Tish James went after them. So guess what she's trying to get from them is $1.4 billion. So what Trump owes is chump change compared to what this company is going to owe.
How much interest percent?
820%.
Man,
can you imagine?
That makes a loan shark look good.
Yeah, yes. and not only are they going to have to pay the $1.4 billion if they get that settlement, and based on her settlement that she got from Trump, she's likely going to get that. Not only will she get that for the victims, but they will also have to pay interest per day until they pay the thing. Which, if Trump's interest on just 400 million was 120,000, close to somewhere thereabouts. This is 3 times that. So that's like $360,000 a day in interest they will have to pay until the judgment is settled and all of that, plus 20% in fees to the state.
Wow.
I can't even wrap my head around that. That is just, I mean, that's the epitome of greed. And I when Aisha brought it up, I was like, you got to be. We're talking about how much in interest? $2,000 a day. I can't even wrap my head around that. some people don't even bring that home in a month.
Lifetime. No, a lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you calculate that times 30 days in a month on average. Because in a week, it's just $14,000.
Yeah.
It's not just, it is $14,000. There are people who do not make that in a week. There are people who do not make that in a month. 2 months.
So y'all know that our 10 and 10 is hot, because if we just talked about that, you can only imagine what else we talked about.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's a good segue. So just want to tell people, especially first timers, if you want to check out some things, Primetime Saturday store, where you can get merchandise online. And actually, Aisha, I've got to introduce you to another website, a store site that I heard today that offers shipping worldwide.
Oh, nice.
So I was on another YouTube, well, the YouTube show I listen to almost every Saturday morning, and that site came up. So I bookmarked it, and I want to share that with you. So otherwise, buy. Any new things coming up in the store?
With the exception of what I announced the last time, we've got those new mugs that say bold, black, beautiful. We've got the Blacklicious towels, sweatshirts, all kinds of stuff. We've got different kinds of journals. And so I'm working on some other things. I'm looking for, I'm actually trying to make some nice things for the springtime.
Yes.
Because
it is coming.
It is coming.
And the clocks go forward
like
tonight.
We're
broadcasting live. The clocks go forward tonight.
You spring forward tonight.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It doesn't feel like it here that it's getting warmer, but it will get warmer.
Hold on. Wasn't it warm during the week?
During the week, it was warm today. It's 39 and cold and rainy.
Yeah.
Which might be why my daughter's upset that I sent her to the store.
Ouch.
But yeah, I'm trying to get us some things for spring. So I'm looking at different types of merchandise. And if you guys have any ideas on things that you would like to see in the store, please email Dr. Vibe, join the Discord. Let us know.
You're robbing myself. So let's get to the rest of it. So Patreon, they talked about the 10 on 10, 10 and 10. We only hit the thumbnails here. During the week, the ladies go in. So join the Patreon group to make that happen. Also join our Patreon group, Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. So email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com for all things Aisha and LaLa. Also subscribe to the Dr. Vibe channel via YouTube and then hit the notification button. And I want to say thank you. A lot of people responding to the YouTube shorts we're putting up. I'm beginning to a little bit figure out YouTube. Then if you want to advertise your business, product, or service on the platform, please again email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Let's shout at some people. Jen Myers, of course. Hello, Jen. Kaylin, lots of topics coming, so don't worry, there's a whole pile of topics. JJ Marsh from Phoenix, always want to say thank you. And how's the weather out there? I'm always going to ask you. And then JJ Mars also says earlier about super predatory lender when you were talking about that earlier.
Yes. Absolutely.
And thank you for the heart, Eddie Abbott. So we're going to get into things, family. So first things first, I guess State of the Union means presidential election 2024 is on. Ladies, comments on the State of the Union, comments on the aftermath. Who's first?
LaLa, you go first.
I don't know. Some people might not like what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it. I think Biden came out strong, regardless of three toes and other people trying to throw shade at him and being completely disrespectful and yelling and screaming, and which just disgusts me to no end. But I was a little frustrated with him. I really was hoping that he would speak strong. And I felt like he stuttered so much over his words. And that concerns me because that is what they're playing into. And so that concerns me a lot with them moving forward. But then I sit back and I think, well, the other option has got 91 indictments and has got to pay millions and millions and millions of dollars. I'd rather have somebody who's stuttering than somebody who's a criminal. So I don't know. I think he came out strong. I do think that he had good points. I just wish I would have seen him deliver it a little stronger. And that's my opinion on it. Other than that, guys, I have to be really honest. I just think that every state of I don't care who's in office, Democrat, Republican, they all sound the same. They all speak politician. And that's what I'm tired of. I'm exhausted with this. I think we need to clean house completely.
Honestly, I think that it was actually one of the things that he delivered better than other things. Yes, he stuttered through it and stumbled through it, but you're asking this man who has had a stutter since childhood to speak for an hour, period. That's difficult with anyone who has a stutter. If you have anyone with a stutter in your life, you know that they struggle to do that. Even in adulthood, as they get older, it might get a little bit more difficult. But the thing that I can say, though, is that on the news here locally, that was people weren't concerned about that part of it, because the thing is, he's old. They expected him to be old. What they expected more, because the Republican media had set this up, was that he was gonna be Sleepy Joe. It surprised him. It surprised people when he came off the bat and didn't even let the speaker introduce him. He just went for it, which was a good thing, because it's like he cut to the chase. No formalities. Let's just get right to it. I think there were a lot of things that were good. Of course, he did the political thing, but that is what the State of the Union is. If you look at the history of what it is, basically the president is supposed to reassure Americans that the State of the Union is strong. They all say that. They have been saying it since they've been doing it. The State of the Union is strong. These are our jobs numbers, and this is what we're going to do. I do appreciate the fact that, and some people were calling it partisan, whatever, because, he's running against Donald Trump. But Donald Trump is also his predecessor. He came in and had to clean up a big mess. Let's not forget what Donald Trump left with, because if you start forgetting that, then it's easy for you to look away when he is the candidate Joe Biden's running against. So that was the first thing. But I think for me, the things that stood out were that he did talk about those practical things for people, like getting rid of the junk fees, capping the credit card fees, the late fees on credit cards at $8. That, rather than it being $35 and $40 for whatever credit card, that makes a difference to people. Those are those kitchen table issues that I'm glad that he did talk about, because he hasn't been doing that often. The conversation has been very big and theoretical, usually in terms of how he talks about the economy, but talking about those things that people can say. For example, and LaLa, I'm sure you found this interesting, was the fact that they were going to give the money to people who, renters get money,
Yes.
$400 per month, so that they could save towards a home. People who are looking to
Yes.
get a bigger home could do that. That is something that makes a difference in people's lives. Having someone there who is a teacher, who had their student loans forgiven. Those are things that I think are very practical, and that's the show that he needs to take on the road, not the whole GDP. Joe and Mary at the table don't know that. Okay.
Yeah,
they want to know,
that's true.
What money do I have to shell out of my pocket? How are you going to save me? And when he starts talking about late fees on rents, capping late fees on late rent payments, he's really gonna have some people's attention, because you'd be surprised at what the late fees are that apartment complexes specifically. I'm not talking about individual landlords or whatever. They're usually a little bit more willing to work with people, but the corporations that own apartment complexes are charging fees left, right, and center that people cannot afford. If someone's already behind on their rent because they had a health crisis or lost their job or reduced hours, adding fees on is not going to make them more likely to pay their rent on time the next month. Not only that, it's going to put them in deeper debt and more likely to have to be evicted. Which isn't that the whole point with corporate rental places, right? The eviction rate.
Yeah.
So,
well, he also did the banks too. Like, he's going to be capping those banks, and the banks are ticked off.
Yeah.
Well, you know, those cappings of these fees is capping somebody's bonuses. That's why they're angry.
Right. But guess what?
I
They will deal.
have to be real honest, guys. This week was not a good political opinion for LaLa. I mean, I just can't believe the madness that we have to choose between. You mean to tell me out of so many millions of bright people that we have in America, we are down to these two? I just don't understand it. And it bothers me. And I know I have this feeling every time we have an election like this, I get to feeling this way. But this time it just really hit me with the other things that we will be talking about tonight. I don't want to jump ahead. This has got me truly beat up. And especially since I've been talking to so many people worldwide. You know, I'm back and forth from Portugal, and I had a really great conversation with some people who are from all over the world here this week, and they're all infatuated with me in the fact that they're like, what are y'all doing? Y'all do that? What are you like? And it's like, oh my God, where are we? Like, have we taken us back 45,000 years? Because these stories are almost like out of a fiction novel. And so I have a problem with what's going on. And maybe that's why I have such a problem with the address, because I am tired of talk. I need action. We should never be in this position where we have to choose between someone who is indicted and could be possibly getting briefed on stuff when he's being indicted for what he's done in the past. And I'm afraid that he's going to get away with it. And it scares me. It scares me. It scares me.
But it goes back to that video I sent you. I sent LaLa this video, and I'll actually give you the link, Dr. Vibe, that you can show. The problem is that the majority of Americans think like our government runs like a business. At the top of the business, the person who makes the final decision, has the final say so, is the president of the company. The American government doesn't work like that. The president can do but so much with executive orders. His executive powers are limited. Now, they are limited in the Constitution. You have to read it. They're very limited. The laws and all of that, all he does is sign them, but they get made in Congress. Pay more attention to those down ballot races. Who you're voting for in Congress, who you're voting for in the Senate makes the difference. And if your Senate and your Congress are not the same party and don't have the majorities, you're not going to get what you want to get. Remember, our Senate.
I love that video. I mean, it literally told the truth where people just don't understand. They think the only elections that we have are these presidential elections, and then everything else doesn't happen. And it's up to us to educate people. And I don't care how it's done. I mean, the video that Aisha is talking about is actually a rapper. I mean, if that means that you need to get to them, those people who can understand and love that, then hey, I said, if you need to put it in a country music song, put it in a country music song, because people are not understanding our government. And even when we were coming up, Aisha, we had gonna have a 3-ring circus someday. Explain everything to us. Yes.
Yeah. But here's the big thing. Here's the biggest problem we have. The United States education system. Someone got it in their mind in the late 80s that, oh my gosh, these young people are at some point going to vote, and they're becoming more liberal. We have to fix this. So the way they fixed it, they revamped how we teach history and social studies in the American education system. Civics was a class, a required class up until the early 80s that people had to take. The first thing that they did with civics is that they brought it down. They took out, how they started with the tracking system, especially after desegregation, right? Well, civics was one of those classes that they gave a lower track to. Those kids weren't interested in it so much because they were taking the skilled trade courses so that they could get jobs. So then they just quietly removed civics out of the curriculum as a standalone course and said, we have incorporated it into U.S. history. All students have to take U.S. History 1 and U.S. History 2. But realize U.S. History 1 and 2 have to cover the very beginning, going back to the United States and being colonized, because they don't adequately cover Native American history, and then up through the present day in 2 classes. They have to do that. So how are they going to fit in civics? It's like half a chapter. You spend a day on it, and that's that. And then they've moved on. So it is by design. They've taken civics out. What happened when they took it out? The American populace has become less educated in terms of how our government works. And people do not fundamentally know that, guess what? You don't vote every 4 years. You don't even vote every 2 years. You vote every year. Every year there's an election, whether it be for your school board, whether it be for a dog catcher, whether it be for your mayor, whether it be for your city council, your county council.
Because that's where they start. That's where they want to. That's where they start. I'm telling y'all, when I was coming up, Mitch McConnell started low on the poll. And everybody liked him because he was fine then, but he had an agenda, and he took that agenda all the way up to where he is now. And now he's a career politician, and he was playing chess, and he came in on a low level. This is why it's very, very important for us to vote for that dog catcher, because people are lining up to do that for a reason.
I would like to respectfully jump in just for a moment to catch up on some things. Fitness IQ Cam says, good evening, KSF, EYL, RW, FQ, FV. Good to have you here. Jen Meyer says, Schoolhouse Rock. All right. And then, so JJ Mars says, Biden let the Black community down. He didn't deliver on specific Black issues. Some Black people say they will not vote. Also,
what can I hold on before we move on? We have to answer this. What specifically are those things? I need to know that, because we hear this a lot. What specifically are those things?
Okay, I'll let him see.
And the reason I say that is because we can say that. What specifically are those things that we are asking for? Is it that we're asking for them to expand the Voting Rights Act and to sign the John Lewis Voting Rights Bill? Let's be clear. Joe Biden cannot do that. He can introduce it as something that he wants Congress to pursue, which is what he did. It's Congress's job to get the votes to pass it, which it did pass in the House, but the Senate doesn't have the 60 votes. That's the filibuster issue in the Senate. So I need to know what this is and what the expectations are, and whether or not people understand the.
So JJ Mars also says Biden has executive order.
You cannot do executive order on anything that has to do with money in this country. Is in the hands of the legislative branch, primarily the House of Representatives. He can't do that without going to them. Otherwise, they can take him to court.
All right.
And they have actually. Congress has.
Sandusky, Ohio Bro says the presidential election comes down to Black Americans, non-immigrants, and biracial people. To be honest, ADOS and FBA will decide this. If your family wasn't here when slavery existed, you're not the ones who will decide this election.
Unfortunately, the way that they gerrymandered the district so much, they've tried to water that down.
Then he also says the Black Americans reparations is specific.
Okay, that's that's money. That's financial. That originates in the House. Look at the House bill. There is a House bill on reparations. That is a House bill.
It's not gone anywhere either.
It's not going anywhere unless it passes the House and gets the 60 votes in the Senate. Biden can't sign it.
Well, and Sandusky, Ohio goes, that's what we want. Well, I think just adding on to that, Sandusky, Ohio, bro, I think not only, well, first of all, because the government's in so much debt, where are they going to get the money to pay for reparations? Right. And the second part too, I think reparations also has to be looked at a lot of companies and industries have benefited from reparations also. So I don't think it should just be a government giving reparations. I think a lot of companies have benefited from African American labor and mistreatment over the years. So I think also that is added on. So he also says then Biden loses. So he thinks the reparations thing, and then J.J. Marshall's qualified immunity regarding law enforcement. He dodged that totally after the George Floyd issue.
That actually has to originate in the Senate.
Okay. Well, I think
the Senate, and they're not going to do it in the Senate for the filibuster reason. They have to get rid of that filibuster. It's something he can sign into law. Sure, he can do it by executive order. He could try or do something approximating it by executive order. But the moment that he leaves office, all executive orders come to an end. They end with that president. And so that would mean then that, you know, we'd still be in the same place asking for the same thing again, unless it's codified in our law. Prime example, Roe. That's why we are here now.
You know, it just makes me amplify more. Oh, hold on. So J.J. Marsh says he immediately passed an anti-Asian hate bill.
He did not pass that. That originated in the Senate.
Okay.
He signed it, yes, but they gave him a bill that passed in the Senate, passed in the House. House made amendments, sent it back to the Senate. Senate said okay to their amendments, added their own, sent it to Biden to sign.
This just really shows, though, how out of step the government procedures are with the time we're in. I think that's a bigger concern. The American government is a mess. It's for just all different areas. It's a mess. It's just, from where I sit, it's just a mess. And really, at the end of the day, the business people control all.
Part of the problem that we have, and I agree with what you say, J.J. Mars. He sure as hell promoted it. Well, every president promotes something that they win, something that they can sign into law. It's hard to promote something that you can't get the votes on until you get the votes. Like, that's one of the reasons why expert people who are in their House and the Senate, who are the leaders of their party, they can count votes. That is the problem. But right now, honestly, my biggest focus, the House Democrats could win, and they cannot win, but they still can carry it by a slim margin. Fine. It is that daggone Senate. As long as they keep that filibuster in place that doesn't say that a simple majority can win. When they put that in there, when Mitch McConnell and all of them slid that thing in there to say that, no, you've got to have 2/3 of the Senate to pass anything, which means 60 votes because there's 100 seats in the Senate. Nothing gets done. Not one thing gets done. If you can just do a simple majority, we would have passed so many things under when Nancy Pelosi still had control of the House, and the Democrats had control of the House. We would have passed so many things so quickly because it would have just taken that 51 vote with the vice president breaking the tie.
Right.
All right.
And this is the conundrum we find ourselves in, this holding pattern. And that's one of the things that I hope that the American people start to wake up to. These people have us in a holding pattern because they have this filibuster thing. Thank God 2 of the people who prevented them from changing the filibuster rules, Sinema and Manchin, are getting out. But Manchin's district is likely to go red, which means we're going to still stay in that holding pattern.
Yeah, we're still going to be right where I don't think we're going to have much movement at all. I think we're going to be stuck in this jugger point and be here for a very long time. I mean, the thing is, people's thinking, that's what I'm saying. We're so divided. People don't want to try to find a good foundation to agree upon. It's okay to disagree on certain things, but you got to find a foundation to build upon to make those really good debates. Okay. Just like when you have the debate teams right now, everybody is, you're wrong. You make me sick. you're wrong, you make me sick. Nobody is talking and nobody's doing anything. And everybody's so worried about what power and what money they have and what greed that they have. I just don't see us getting out of this ball of confusion. And that's what is just ridiculously, we're not functioning. We are not functioning. We do not have a functioning government.
But LaLa, why should you be so? This is capitalism at its best.
And part of our problem is that we have two governments, right? And that, Dr. Vibe, you and I had this conversation, and you were telling me you were just so confused. You're like, Canada, we have one form of government. That's it. Of Canada, we have our federal government and we have our state governments, and they're not always in sync with one another. And so that also poses an additional problem. That's a different layer to the thing. And I say this as someone who has worked to pass laws before and has worked a legislature, on passing just general things, something even as minute as carbon-free and healthy schools in education and climate jobs and things like that. It is a process, things. Nothing starts on the House floor. It starts by being read on the House floor, but then the bill is then sent to a committee. Most of the things that we want die in committee. Either the committee just vote on it.
I got to cut it there because we got a number of comments. We got a lot more conversation pieces. Fitness IQ Cam says, true, Doctor. Apparently every 100 days, the debt grows in America, $1 trillion. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think you're wrong. Let's put it. Sandusky, Ohio bro says Biden isn't going to beat 45. He also says Black Americans, we shouldn't be a debt classified with Black and Caribbean immigrants, different history and culture. That's a whole other conversation now. He's speaking of Biden here. JJ Must he had the nerve to tell Black people you're not Black if you didn't vote for me.
And I think that's a different thing than what we're having right now, which is a policy discussion. The policy that right there is something totally different. But how the policies get through is very convoluted.
Let's stay on this. Sandusky Ohio says Black Americans agree with mass deportations of African and Caribbean migrants. I don't know about that. That'd be an interesting. I'd like to hear if that's true or not.
I don't agree with that.
Okay. I can walk in with legal without fire. Okay. Open and concealed. Okay. Education in America is a local and state issue.
We never said that it wasn't. However, we do have a federal Department of Education. All states, all local school districts, and I can say this because everyone in my family is an educator. All local and state schools, all schools are overseen by their local districts. The state oversees what all the local districts teach. And local districts cannot teach anything different than what the state dictates to them. The federal government does not get into curriculum issues. So states are making these choices. And whoever you put in as governor, in some states, the Secretary of Education is elected. Most states, it is appointed by the governor. And so that is how that works. And that is how that trickles down to the local district.
Okay.
It also has to do with funding. In every school district, every state has different funding formulas.
All right. I'm going to move on to our next conversation piece because we go a while on that. 45 to get intelligence briefings despite classified documents, criminal trial. Is this an example of how messed up things are in America?
We would not give any other criminal, anyone else who's under criminal indictment, intelligence briefings, period. I don't care if he's running for president. He was president once before. And remember when he was president and we were changing administrations and there was an election, he didn't want to give them to Joe Biden. So why should he be giving them back? I don't think that he should. We already know he's compromised and he owes how much money? You think that he won't sell those things to get somebody to pay his way out of that debt that he owes New York? Come on. Now we're just playing kid games here.
Yeah, now it's beyond a joke. I mean, he shouldn't even be here, period. He shouldn't even be running. He should be the candidate that the GOP has chosen, which shows you and then he's going to say, Sandusky, I'm sorry, no, we do not have a functioning government. We have a government who is clamoring for as much power and control over their American citizens as possible. It should be the other way around. That's not a functioning government. And the fact that you have a criminal who is running and now is going to once again be briefed on our national security when we know for a fact that he has done things that shouldn't have never been done, and they're all coming to light, especially now. We knew him then, we definitely know him now. And you can't even hand over classified documents that you had before. You should have no right to see what we're doing right now as a running person. No, I don't agree.
Anyone else with 91 indictments would, first of all, be in prison awaiting trial. Okay? The fact that this man is out running free, having a campaign rally in Georgia tonight, it is just beyond me. But the fact that they want to give him briefings, one of the security people, former security people, his former security person, was it John, what's his name? John Bolton, said that he should not be giving these things. But if they have to, they're doing it as a tradition. This is part of the American problem. We do too many things as tradition, and people get upset if we change the tradition. It's not written in law that he has to get them. This is something that Truman started because he felt that the president coming after him might be benefited by understanding where we were and having an idea, and that they'd be ready on day one. Well, guess what? Things have changed. Things have
really changed.
Especially since we saw that this man had 3,000 documents sitting in his bathroom next to the toilet. Okay?
Yeah.
Things have changed.
And just throwing them at people and telling them, look at this. Can you believe this? Look at this. What?
And he was telling biographers, people who were going to write about it, people who recorded it. He tried to blackmail one of our allies, Ukraine, the president of Ukraine, the current president of Ukraine, for dirt on Joe Biden. So don't think that he wouldn't say, oh, I'm going to sell these secrets. Not only that, Judge Cannon just gave him access to those classified documents that he already stole in Florida. So let's be very, very clear here. He doesn't deserve them. What they're saying that they might do is give him an oral briefing that's very general in nature, no classified stuff, things that might be labeled secret. But I don't think he should get anything. You know what I think he should be told? We had a briefing today. Goodbye.
Yep, we had a briefing. That's it. That's all you need to know. He shouldn't even be told that, to be honest.
Is this a tradition? Is this a tradition, or is this a him only? That a former president's allowed? Okay.
Here's how it goes. Former presidents get briefings.
Okay.
Because they might know something from their time in office that or have a relationship or understanding of something that happened during their time of office that the current president might need to go to them on and say, hey, what is this thing? They're talking about something here. What was this thing that happened? Give me the one-on-one, thing. And remember, nothing happens in isolation. Everything's a succession of the past. So, Obama had it with Bush, back and forth, whatever. But Donald Trump, now mind you, Donald Trump did get briefings. Him and Hillary both got the briefings when they were running against each other.
Yes.
We also give it to former presidents, but we also give it to presidential candidates in case one wins so they can hit the ground running day one. The problem is that because of what happened with Trump in our classified documents, and that Biden was warned that Trump was a political risk in that nature, Joe Biden said this man's not getting anything. He doesn't get briefings as it is. So because of this thing that he's running, they're going to go back to giving him briefings again that he wasn't qualified for as a president because they were worried that he was selling secrets. You've got confirmation that he had the secrets in his possession that he wasn't supposed to have. And so you're going to give them to him now? Make that make sense. It makes no sense.
It makes no sense at all. None of this makes sense. None of this. None of this. You got people who were against, like, soon as he got out of office, all that Trumpster. Yeah, Mitch McConnell can't stand the man, but he came out and endorsed him this week.
Of course.
What kind of madness is this?
Of course. But the part for me is that he was a risk 4 years ago to give him the thing. They didn't give him the briefings because of what happened on January 6th. Okay. Now that you know for a fact, there are pictures. There is a full out court case about him hiding and refusing to give back documents that the government owned. He moved them from New Jersey to Florida. He had people lie about him. He told his lawyers to lie. And they did it. But he needs over $600 million. You think that he's not going to sell that to the first bidder?
Oh, he's poised. He can't wait. He can't wait. That's what he wants.
Let Putin come through and say, hey, I got
guess what I learned today? Yeah.
Rubles for you in exchange for your secrets. I'll wipe out all your debt. And Trump would be on the first plane board to Moscow. Hell, he probably promised Viktor Orban some stuff. Friday. You know that man. You know that man does a quid pro quo. Why? We got it on tape. We heard the tape.
Yeah.
The more I know, the less I understand. The more I know.
You've got it on two tapes. The one where he tried to do a quid pro quo with Zelensky in Ukraine, and then when he tried to tell the Secretary of State of Georgia to find him 11,680 votes.
What's your tagline? Making the sense, trying to make sense of nonsense that's going on in America.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's really quite frightening because when you really think about it, guys, when you really and truly think about it, I know we debate it every time, but when you really think about everything as a whole, when you think about what the Supreme Court is doing, how women's rights are being taken away, the education that they're taking away, taking away the DEI, everything that they can possibly do to take us down to the lowest denominator is happening. And never in my wildest dreams would I have thought we would be here. I thought we were better as a country. Yes, we had differences, but now it is to the point where you're right. You can be quiet if you want to, as long as your rights are not being taken away. But wait, tomorrow yours will be attacked as well. So that's where a major concern should be. But nope, people are just too busy, trying to be a Christian or a blah blah, and everything has to fall underneath that. No, I just don't agree, and I'm debating. I'm having an American meltdown moment, and I think that it's important that I say that because I know I can't be alone in this. Will it stop me from voting? No. Will it stop me from speaking out? No. Will it stop me from having an opinion? No. Because if I lay down and I don't do anything, then it's just going to run all over me. I have to stand up as an American. I don't want to see my country going this way. I am an American. And it's a shame that sometimes, I feel sorry that if someone says, they've taken the word patriot, they've taken the flag and turned it into a weapon. Now when I see a flag on somebody's property, I shudder because I wonder, what American are you? Which one are you? Because 9 times out of 10, right out of that, I see a Trump flag. So that concerns me. I have rights. You have rights. We all have rights. We have got to get back down to the basics, and we've got to get this under control as a people. And until the people decide that they no longer want this in their lives, which right now we don't have, then I don't see any change. We have to continue to fight, yes, but how fast will that change come?
Yeah. And the
last comment, Aisha.
Yeah, the Republican Party under Trump has bastardized the process so much that it is easy. It has become easier for people to tune it out.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
the thing that they're like, how as a parent your kid would be like, mommy, please, to the point you're just like, fine. Like this week, Mariah Carey finally just gave up. Her 13-year-old daughter just asked to straighten her hair. Mariah wrote #mommy gave in. Well, yeah, it's that they're doing that kind of thing with us on the political front, to the point where it's like they're waiting for people to just say, I give up. I'm not showing up to the polls. I'm not doing this. I'm not engaging. The country is as it is.
That's what they want.
And that's what they want, because that's the only way that they can seize power.
Okay. Before we move on,
I just have a problem when we cannot speak our mind and still walk away without being worried about being shot in the back.
Exactly.
Second Amendment.
That's where we are.
All right. Fitness IQ Cam says that makes sense, LaLa. And let's go to our next conversation piece.
Hits keep coming, right?
Indicted serial liar George Santos announces new run for Congress during the State of the Union.
So
I'm not surprised.
Wait,
I'm not surprised because we just got through talking about Trump, right? If Trump can get away stuff, he think he can do the same thing. But I think he's gonna truly get hit upside the head with some serious reality. He's nothing but a fraud from the get-go, and everybody knows it. But here's what's so sickening is, y'all, right after the address, he was hanging out with the same people that voted him out. So, what kind of sense does this make? It makes no sense at all.
Okay, so in honor of George Santos announcing his run for Congress, I have my background, which is the backside of Prince's Controversy album. I'm even wearing my Prince Controversy t-shirt, right? Because George Santos, that is him. Controversy. That's all he wants. It's all he talks about, right? And that's all he is. And the fact, okay, first of all, people are wondering, well, how is it that he was at the State of the Union? All former members of Congress are able to attend the State of the Union address, period. He showed up. Now, this is the part for me that tells me we have a big problem, right? There's no shame. We cannot make people feel bad enough about themselves when they do wrong, to the fact that they won't show their faces in public. He was out there bold, balls out. I'm right here.
Come look at me. Like he was the life of the party.
But he was also, he made his decision to announce. He didn't make it after the State of the Union. He made it during. He planned to have his statement come out right after, because he thought that it would shift, just like Trump. He's like a little kid. He thought that it would shift the focus from Biden to him and his coming out. And guess what? People announced it, but it was like the 20th story. It was like, oh, and just so you know, George Santos.
Oh, and by the
way, okay, let's move on. We're done with this clown. This is how Trump should have been treated, honestly, after he lost.
Yes.
We should have treated him like the clown that he is, because George Santos's next stop is not Congress. His next stop is RuPaul's Drag Race, and I hope he loses.
That's so true.
So is he planning to rerun in the same district?
No, he's running in another district against the guy that actually brought up the articles to remove him. Another Republican.
But what's interesting, where he ran, those people are the ones who also made it a big point to get him out of there. They felt like that he was a fraud and that he had, so he knows better than to run from the same district that he ran on the last time. They wanted him out.
You would think he would get the message, right? Because Swasi won that district handily. He's going to win it again in November because this was a special election to replace him, but he's got to run for a full term in November. Look, who are you going to beat? Nick is an incumbent. Yes, it's a red district, but it's an incumbent, and he's got a pretty contested race with a Democrat right now. So yeah, come on. You ruined New York for Republicans right now, okay? All the Republicans who are in the House are shaking in their boots, wondering what Democrat's going to kick them out.
Yep.
Does Mr.
Yeah, but really, I mean, just the audacity, how dare you?
Does Mr. Santos really think people's memories are that short?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Most people on the right, it is. Because remember, he's not. I don't think he understands. He does not understand New York. I don't think, because New Yorkers aren't down for the shenanigans. Okay, they're already tired of Elise Stefanik and her nonsense.
Yeah. Yep.
Those two Republicans that introduced the articles to get rid of George Santos, they were told by their voters if they did not do it, bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.
So the voters are tired of the George Santos like characters.
Are they?
Why do you think that woman that ran against Swasi lost so big?
But hold on a second. If Americans,
New York is different than the rest of America. I live this close to New York.
Okay.
I watch New York politics. New Yorkers aren't like your Midwestern MAGA folks. You've got quite a few. Yeah. They're not like your Southern MAGA folks.
It's a different whole culture right there.
In general, do not suffer fools. They suffered that fool as long as they could. They will learn their lesson. Somebody will smack them on the behind and they will learn their lesson. What do you think? Right now, they're having to deal with the whole thing with Trump, owing the money, and then Rudy Giuliani's clown behind. They're regretting that decision for voting him as mayor for 2 terms. So, right, and you think that's bad. They really don't like Eric Adams right now. So I trust and believe that in some of these districts, because remember, a lot of these districts in New York flipped from blue to red in the last election. That's how Republicans actually got their majority. We can see that they're going to flip back by this first race. And New Yorkers also run politics different on the local level, even for their federal offices, than the rest of what we see on the national level.
I never say never, but I wouldn't be surprised if he got back in. Because if many people...
God forbid. I mean, at this point, I never thought Trump was going to be president. That shocked the hell out of me.
I can say this.
I don't ever say never.
Here's what I say this about George Santos. Remember, I get New York news. We get all the New York network news. We get the Connecticut ones and we get the New York ones. That doesn't always happen in every state. So like Massachusetts gets some Connecticut ones and Massachusetts ones, but we get all the New York ones, all the Connecticut ones, some Massachusetts ones. I did not see that covered. I saw it covered once at 11.
Really?
29 on one of the New York stations. That was it. Okay. And it was just like I said. Oh, and by the way, guess who said he's running again? Okay. Good night.
Wow, that's how that was there, huh?
The story.
Okay, so fitness like you, Cam, says you and me both. I think what she's saying is that just piggybacking on LaLa's comment, she never thought that 45 would be 45.
I didn't either, and guess what? Neither did he.
I don't think he did either.
But let's be very clear. He also had. The one thing that we keep ignoring is the elephant in the room that we do not talk about because Bob Mueller botched it so badly. He did have Russian interference.
Yes, he did.
Was true. That is how he won. He keeps claiming that the elections are stolen because he stole one.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
All right. Let's take a break.
Yeah.
I think it has been quite a fast and furious little first part of the conversation. So we're going to take a little bit of a break. We are watching Primetime Saturday, or you are watching Primetime Saturday live on March 9th. And what other place would you rather be on a Saturday evening? At least Eastern time or in the world. There you go. So we're going to take a quick break. Oh, we got one more comment. Oh, Fitness IQ has the world became stimulator after that. Okay. All right. We're going to get to a break. We'll be back in about 2 minutes, and then we'll talk about some interesting things going on in the state of North Carolina. We'll be back.
And that's what I feel like. You feel like you're the Harry Tubman of the mind.
I am.
I feel like I'm the I'm one of the Harry Tubmans of intelligent Black people. Like, I want to liberate y'all from like being left behind and ignored and oblivion. Now, really, the rappers get all the attention. Seriously, does anybody else feel this way? Like ignorant Black people, they'll be all up, getting all the headlines on the Shade Room.
Overly sexualized Black folks.
Over like the twerkers and the just people that don't always represent the best of us. The diversity. Like people like Dr. Vibe. Like everybody should know about people like Dr. Vibe. Dr.
really
Vibe he's trying to do good work for Black people. Dr. Vibe from Toronto. Good to see you, my brother. Dr. Vibe. Everybody follow Dr. Vibe. He has a great show. He's very good at what he does, and I have a lot of respect for him. The men who are also doing the same thing. I see Dr. Vibe in here. He's a great brother. Everybody should follow Dr. Vibe, by the way. He's a smart brother in Canada, and we need to follow smart people. So follow Dr. Vibe. If you see him in the chat, and Dr. Vibe, say your name in the chat so people can see you. I want you to click on his name, and I want you to go follow him, please, because I want these men and women that are doing the right things to get the support they deserve. Hey, Dr. Vibe, how you doing, brother? Again, like I always do, I gotta say everybody should go follow Dr. Vibe. He's got a great show. Dr. Vibe, I know Dr. Vibe's got a kingdom because I see your channel. I see you pouring into that every day. Everybody should follow Dr. Vibe, by the way. Look him up, Dr. Vibe, Vibe. He's a great friend of me and my wife, and I love this guy. Okay, so let me hop into this. What's up, Dr. Vibe? How you doing? Everybody, if you see Dr. Vibe in the chat, everybody go follow the Dr. Vibe show. Dr. Vibe is a real smart brother and a good human being. I like the guy a lot, and he's very intelligent. And I think everyone should pay attention to what he's got going on. We got to shine the spotlight on the intelligent Black people out here that are really doing the good work. Don't just pay attention to the rappers and the celebrities. A lot of these people are losers. Your true winners are your people in your community that are really having your back. Helping us to have stronger families and a stronger community. So Dr. Vibe is in that category. So you might see the Dr. Vibe show in this chat. If you see him, please go follow him. Okay. All right. So anyway.
All right. We are back with Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa, and it has been quite a feisty and feisty first hour of the conversation. So there is more to come. And looking for some more epic conversations because this is the home of epic conversations. So let's go on to the state of North Carolina. And there's a very interesting Aisha, you didn't even let me finish.
It's getting worse. Our stories are getting worse.
Hitler courting candidate wins North American Republican gubernatorial primary. Aisha, since you...
well, this is my 10 and 10 subject, okay, that we talked about. It's always a bad sign when Tim Scott the Clown and Byron Buckshot Donalds are stumping for you as a Black candidate. That's when you already know that it's going to be some mess, okay? First of all, he is currently the lieutenant governor of North Carolina. This is the most this is the most disgusting grifting. He is Candace Owens on steroids, not Martin Luther King on steroids like Trump said. No, he's Candace Owens on steroids. All these folks wrapped up into one. It's like he said the civil rights movement was crap. He said what he said about the Holocaust. He said he'd rather go back to a time when women couldn't vote. He said that he called young people who survived mass shootings in their school spoiled brats and prostitutes who just wanted to be able to go to school and live. He has called the LGBTQ community filthy. You want to talk about filthy, bro? Look in the mirror. You are a disgusting, nasty speck of a human being. You are horrible. You are horrible. And you know what? I learned even more about him this week. And I don't just question him. I question his wife. He's married to a Black woman. But I'm sorry. Any woman who births children, you want that person to be the first male role model that your kid has? Not only is he self-hating, he hates everybody. I'm surprised he doesn't look in
I
the
always
mirror.
say words and tap dance your
I hate
shoes
you
because
himself. I can't stand this man. I can't stand him. He's disgusting. And the fact that
You've not even said his name. Okay, that tells
his
me
name
a
is
lot.
Mark Robinson. He's got such a corny name. Anyway, the fact that he won the Republican primary for governor, the fact that they voted for him in the first place. Let me tell you about this man. This man was just a regular laborer. He never ran for office before. He just made some comment about he made a comment about the movie The Black Panther being something about Jewish people and just craziness. He made a 2018 comment about that, and then talked about Michelle Obama, and then all of a sudden they had him on Fox News. He went viral, and he had him on Fox News, and next thing you know, he's lieutenant governor. That is his road to his running as governor. He never served in any office.
Okay.
He has no experience whatsoever except picking his nose, I guess. I don't know. But they were able to take this man and put him there. Now, let me tell you why he won. I promise you, the majority of the people who voted for him were white people who were MAGA, white MAGA. Well, why? Because they feel like he's saying it, it means it's true. It's okay. We don't have to feel uncomfortable.
Because he said it.
We just let him say what we're saying, and then people don't come after us. He gets all of it, and we're okay. We can hide. It's a case of throwing stones and hiding your hands. They just happen to be hiding their hands behind this big biscuit brother.
And once again, when it all boils down to what needs to boil down to, it'll be the first one they throw in the lake of fire.
Exactly. And then next thing you know, he'll be crawling on his hands and knees, wanting to come back into the community, and the door will be closed.
Yep.
I gotta ask, who makes you shake your head more? Mark Robinson, the people who voted for him, or 45 who has endorsed him?
Him. Because you know why?
Yeah.
You know why? Because he knows better. He's not doing this because he knows anything different. He's not doing this even because he even believes it. It's the money. It's the money. That's why I keep telling people, please go read Clay Cane's book, The Grift. I got mine sitting right here. It's called The Grift, The Downward Spiral of Black Republicans from the Party of Lincoln to the Cult of Trump. And he talks about people like Mark Robinson, who they know better. They know better. But they would rather
the lure of money's too powerful.
Money's too powerful. And the fact of the matter is that being a big fish in a little pond brings more bucks. They'll deal with the rest of it later. But guess what? Or they won't deal with it at all. They'll be too busy chilling on their yacht because they made so much money from all the grifting that they did.
They can look to Cameron from Kentucky, because it won't be long before he get ready to go all the way down the river with himself going to the woke news outlet. You see what happened there? People love their Andy Bashir. They wasn't gonna let that happen. So you keep going, bro. But you're gonna have a rude awakening at the end, because no amount of money is worth your soul, and that's exactly what they are snatching from you.
And the scary part about it is that North Carolina has had a Democratic governor for a long time, several different Democratic governors. If he comes in and wins, there are some things that are going to be very, very hard for Black people. Right now, North Carolina has the potential to become purple.
Yeah.
It really does. And it has potential to not only become purple, but also become a swing state. If he wins,
Yep.
Yeah,
all
I've heard
that
a lot of
progress
pundits
that
say
they have
that.
made,
Pundits.
yes, all that progress that they have made, all these states down in that Bible Belt area can talk about the New South all they want. Y'all never really fully became the New South, because guess where? You're right back where you started, pretty much. And so the fact that North Carolina has made the progress that it has made, you see what I'm saying? The fact that they made the progress that they've made, in that this one person can snatch it away. God help them.
I don't see how they sleep at night. I really don't. You really that comfortable in that, bro? I would be watching my back 24/7, but no, you just walking with the big dogs, thinking you're a part of the community. No,
While they
sir.
talk about
You
behind
know,
your back in the rooms that they don't let you in.
that's right. You're the butt of the joke. You're the butt of the joke. You're standing right outside the door while they're making fun of you
So what
and
reason?
planning on what they're gonna do.
So what reason has he garnered so much support? Why has he garnered so much support?
Because he's a Black person saying the things that white people want to be able to say without the consequences.
Yeah.
That's all.
Does he have a chance of winning?
He's already lieutenant governor.
Yes.
I think
Yeah,
he does.
he does.
Oh boy.
One thing though, I have, and you remember the lieutenant governor is, like the governor, a down ballot race, but they also run in different years. So, but this time I believe they're running at the same time. I believe, yeah, they are running at the same time. So hopefully, here is the good thing. If he loses his bid for governor, he can't go back to being lieutenant governor, because that race is afoot. So he will have given up his political seats, period. That's like the only saving grace, right?
All right. I think we'll be keeping an eye on North Carolina for the rest of this year.
Anywhere that Byron Buckshot Donalds goes, it's going to be a hell of a mess.
Yeah.
LaLa, anything else you want to say about Mr. Mark?
No, because you know what? It would be nice.
Okay. All right.
It'd be very nice, and I'm trying to be a good girl tonight.
Okay. Enough said. All right, let's move on. Fulton County Ethics Board says it doesn't have jurisdiction to address complaints against DA Fannie Willis.
Okay, this dragging on too long. I need this to happen.
Even
to get this over with.
Yeah, it's going to be another week before the judge makes his decision, but that wasn't even the most interesting part. The most interesting part was when the legislature did their questioning this week, and Bonnie sat there and watched. And one of the members of the legislature asked the attorney on the Trump side and those other people's side, said, wait a second. So you found that she makes $200,000 a year. Okay. But that she hired him to enter into a relationship to make less than she does, so he could take her on a $3,500 trip. And it was just like,
now we're having problems for how much money we make.
Right,
okay.
Right. Now the problem, he's like, and he said that, and he's like, so you're saying that's what you're trying to get us to believe, that a woman who makes $200,000 a year was trying to do all this so the man could take her on a trip that cost $3,500, not 35, not 350,000, 3,500. He's like, I hate to say it, but that's a bump in the road for her making $200,000.
Right?
He's like, it doesn't make any sense. And she said, well, no, he said, no, but that's what you have in the report. No, but that's what you have in the filings. He had to keep reminding her, no, that's what you wrote here. This is what you wrote here. And it was probably the best part of that piece having to do with that trial this week was that part was that the legislature in their questioning found that the argument that they were making about her being about her turning this case into something to benefit her, that the case that she, shouldn't be over this case for this particular reason, for the money thing, it makes no sense. It's frivolous.
Yep.
And
But
then they
don't understand our culture anyway. That when it comes to money, they think we all don't know how to spend it, or don't know how to save it, or don't know how to budget, or don't know that's what they bank on. But America got really educated this week about Black culture when we start talking about extra money and purse money and bra money, and we keep money in our house. And listen, this is how we were taught, because this is what you've done to us. We know better. But now all of a sudden y'all act like y'all don't understand. Y'all the only ones who can have money in your house. Maybe you keep yours in a safe. Maybe we keep ours in a bra. Who cares? We still got money too. But that's the problem. They don't want us to have anything. So this is what they're attacking her on. And yet again, let's be clear, she's not the one in trial.
Right.
So stop with the smoke screen and let's get to the true case that you keep holding off because you want to do your best to try to bury it. No,
people
it's what y'all waiting for is the Supreme Court.
The very people whose parents didn't want our parents to go to school with their kids can't believe that banks didn't want our money. Let's be clear. There were also segregated banks. So that said, just the whole thing falls flat on its face. And then they tried to put in these phone records. The other thing that they found out that the attorney had to admit to was that the information that she used to say that they started their relationship earlier was gossip.
Yes.
It wasn't factual. It was just that dude said that he'd heard something.
Yes.
He was speculating something. It was gossip. So when she tried to say, well, he said it was speculating, they're like, oh, so gossip. So she had to admit.
Oh, she will not let them get away with anything. And that's what I do love about her. I do believe this is definitely a witch hunt. We all know it. And the wrong one to be picking with, because she is strong enough where she's waiting for them to ask her questions, because she knows how to answer them, and she will answer them directly. And even when the judge says you don't have to answer that, I want to answer that. Right. So and that's good to show that she knows that they don't have her backed up in some corner. She's not afraid of them.
Right. So essentially this means the ethics board is not going to pull her from the case. They're like, yeah.
So let me ask.
Else. So at this point, it's just a judge that has to make the decision whether or not. And most people believe that he likely will not remove her from the case, because the argument that they presented not being that she had an unethical relationship with the guy, being that she hired him so that she could financially benefit from kicking this trial for a long period of time. That's what they stated in their filings. That's the case. That's the reason they want her dismissed, and that's not going to fly.
No.
How much of an impact does this trial have on the future of 45?
Well, you got to remember, it goes back to that little thing that we talked about earlier about us having a federal government and a state government. Okay, so keep in mind, this is a state case, not a federal case. So it's the impact will likely be felt more in Georgia than any place else. He has a real, it's a case. Now, I'll put it this way. It's a case that if he becomes a federal officer of the government, meaning president, he can't get it dismissed because he can't involve himself in that state case. He can't get the.
Is there any way you could take a bad ruling to the Supreme Court?
He'd have to go to the Georgia Supreme Court first.
Okay.
It would have to go there first before you have to go to the Georgia Supreme Court first, then the Georgia Federal Court, then maybe to the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court tries not to get involved in issues of this. But no, let me qualify this.
Yes, but he's got the Supreme
But I'll qualify this though. Issues of this caliber that don't have national impact. Here's the problem with it. The one thing that, well, he could probably take it, but I doubt that they will take this up just because of the states' rights issue with regard to self-governance and the rule of law in the states. That they don't get involved in those kinds of things. They don't get involved in those. They don't get involved.
Remember,
for example,
45 put a lot of them there.
No, but remember the cases that he has brought to them. There are things that have national implications. So the Colorado thing that he brought to them, that has to do with federal election law. Now, if he was running for a state office, he could not. He could ask the Supreme Court to look at the case. They would kick it back. He's running for.
They would kick it back.
So that's different.
But remember,
but he committed a state.
The individual
we're
talking about.
Yeah, but he's not being charged with a federal crime, and that's why the Supreme Court would not see it. First of all, they largely deal with civil cases. This is not a civil case. This is a criminal case. That's the first thing. The second thing is that he violated a state criminal law, not a federal criminal law.
Okay.
If he violated a federal criminal, now, for example, if Jack Smith charged him for what he did in Georgia, which is why he hasn't, if Jack Smith charged him for what he did in Georgia as a federal violation of the Civil Rights Act, the Supreme Court would hear that case. But our jurisdictions on some of these issues are very clear, particularly when it comes to criminal law.
As I said, remember who we're talking about.
I do, but for example, he can't take what the Supreme Court, the AG case in New York. He can't take that. He can't kick that to the Supreme Court. It is a state violation. He cannot do that.
Okay.
The highest he can go is to that state Supreme Court.
Okay.
And what they say stands.
And plus, he doesn't have a lot of favor in New York.
No, he doesn't. But the thing is that if he could take it to the Supreme Court, he would have taken it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he can't. And the same thing holds true in Georgia.
All right. Let's move on to the next conversation piece. U.S. judge bars federal minority business agency from considering race. And I've heard a new term now that the GOP is using, a lot of GOP. DEI is DII. DIE.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, it's all bull, but let's be very clear. These minority business associations have been in practice since the 1960s, since the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and now they're coming for them. Come on. You weren't concerned last year. You weren't concerned 2 years ago. Hell, you weren't even concerned 4 years ago. You're concerned now. Give me a freaking break.
It's just another nail that they're using. It's another tactic. This is going to continue. They're going to attack everything that has to do with us.
But they're basic people. Here's the thing. The good thing, they're basic people. Don't you think that you're attacking something that was founded when? We're 10 steps ahead of you right now. We've seen you do it in other areas. We started to see the stuff with DEI coming down. Guess what? We're 10 steps ahead of you. You all are talking about DEI the way we were talking about it in 2020. We're 10 steps ahead of you. It's like they're going to keep taking these things to court, and eventually they're going to hurt the wrong people.
But DEI,
look, because guess what? Those minority-owned businesses, it's not just all races. Guess who is also included in that? White women. And when those white women stop getting their money because of this,
then that's when all hell's gonna break loose. Then
there it goes.
So white women businesses are also impacted in this
because women are considered a minority.
Yes.
Wow. Is that short?
So they're basically shooting themselves in the foot, and they don't know it. The right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing.
So when Jenny's hair salon can't get her loan to get some new dryers,
they'll find a way.
Stacy with an eye will complain about it to the manager. And then they will take it to they'll take that to the Supreme Court.
This is crazy. And of course, the judge that was appointed for this is appointed by
Abbott.
45.
Trump, yeah. Of
So
course.
just shows his chess playing moves, not checker moves a number of years ago. Because do we not see more and more of this happening across America though?
Here's the
going
other thing I
forward?
said in the Discord group. The thing that's going to shock them is they're going to wonder, well, remember, a lot of those minority-owned businesses that they're really trying to target are not Black-owned, not necessarily women-owned. They're Latino-owned.
Yeah.
They're trying to stop brown people from coming into this country and setting up businesses in Texas. This is their immigration plan. This is what they're trying to do. And remember, you can't get access to these state and federal monies if you're an immigrant that is not legal. So all their panties are up in a bunch over this law. And guess what? What's going to end up happening is they're going to see the growth, the business growth period, start to drop. And they're going to, and when business growth drops, guess what else drops? Population drops. And when your population drops, guess what else you lose? You lose political power because you lose House seats. House seats are based on population.
And also taxes drop because less taxes are being contributed.
Yep. And then guess what? Whoever comes governor after Abbott is termed out is going to have hell on their hands. They're going to have a huge mess to clean up. And I feel sorry for that person. And you kind of hope it's not a Democrat because you don't want them to have the mess, but then you really hope that it is so that they can clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
Texas is a different place, eh?
Texas, like Florida.
Yeah, what I tell you, where to solve. Bug Bunny, why are you Bugs Bunny?
Oh boy! If it wasn't copyright protected, I'd bring up the episode right now. But I know we get a copyright strike for it. Oh my goodness! Oh yes, geez. All right. So let's get to our final conversation piece, a happy piece. Howard University is making history as the first HBCU to take part in a figure skating competition.
This makes me so happy. First, my alma mater, Fisk University, becomes the first HBCU to compete in the NCAA in gymnastics. Now Howard University making this history, having a figure skating team. It's just nice to see our HBCUs flourish in this way.
I love it. Well, my husband is a Howard man, so he was extremely tickled about this. And actually, oh yeah, no, he's from Howard. That's how I learned about DC. That was my first introduction to living outside of a small town was DC, and boy, was it a smack in this country girl's face. But I was very glad that I was
offline on that one, but we're not going to talk about him here.
Man, oh man! But at least I was around my people. And that was my first time that I was outside of my own little community, is being on the Howard campus. And and one thing that my mother and I, this also brings wonderful memories to me, is because that's one thing my mother and I would always watch was ice skating. We would love that together, that and gymnastics. And so the fact that this is happening together is kind of a big piece of cake for me. I love it.
Howard, gosh.
I'm here for it.
Howard University. You know what? And so here's a pop quiz. Does anyone, it was many, many years ago, remember African-American skater who participated in the Olympics who did very, very well? Does anyone remember the name?
Was it Debbie?
You got the first name right.
I forgot her last name, but I know that she's not doing well right now.
Yeah. The skater's name was Debbie Thomas.
Debbie Thomas.
Oh, wow.
Thomas. I didn't think she was healthy right now. I think she had some health issues.
Debbie Thomas. So it's skating. Very nice. HU. Way to go, HU. Yeah. HU is making a good name of the. Yes, and JG Mars was right. Yes, Debbie Thomas. You got it right. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, family, it's over. You did it. Yeah. You did it.
It was fiery.
Okay, Debbie Thomas became a doctor. That's not the one I'm thinking of. Okay. I thought she had some health issues.
But yes, well, a lady that has health issues going on right now is Wendy Williams.
Yeah.
But JJ
Yeah.
Mars says that she became a doctor.
Good for her.
Thank you, JJ Mars. Yes, Wendy Williams, that's a whole other conversation what's going on in her world. That
We'll have
is,
to chat about that on the 10 and 10.
oh yeah, that's whoa. That's a whoa. That's a whoa. All right. Got one or two more comments here. Jen Meyer says, great show. Well, you may helped it make it great. Everyone who made it great. Thank you for watching live or on the replay or listening on the replay. As always, it's about that time that we get the ladies to say how, if you want to touch base with them. So first, in the name of LaLa, in the name of LaLa, in the name of, remember that song with the Thompson twins?
Yes, I do.
There you go.
I am such the 80s baby. I love it all. But you can find me at Living the LaLa Life on all social media platforms. And maybe on X if they ever let me back on there again, guys.
What? They haven't let you back on?
No.
What did you do?
No. I didn't do a thing. I guess they just didn't like the way I smell.
Not,
but you can find me everywhere else.
Okay, let's get over to Aisha. I don't even want to go there. Here we go. Aisha K, go ahead.
You can find me at Aisha, AK Staggers on Instagram, but easiest way, join our Discord. I'm always on our Discord.
All right. There we go. And myself. How do you get a hold of myself? Website, the drvibeshow.com. YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, the space, dr period space, VIBE space, SHOW. Instagram at the drvibeshow. X, when I'm there. The only time I'm really there these days is when we're putting out this show or any of the epic conversations I host. At X, it's at drvibeshow. But something magical happened that we had a lot of people watching on Aisha's X feed. Go figure. And email dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. If you want to watch replays of this epic conversation, go to the website, the drvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, the dr.vibeshow.com. And that's it. Okay. I want to thank everyone for watching live and on the replay. What a ride it was. You see what happens when we're not on for 2 weeks? You figure? Go figure. And just to do one last time, Primetime Saturday show. There is a link, but it's also been put out on all the platforms that you watch this video-wise. It's in the comment section. There's the Patreon. There's the Discord. Email me dr.vibe at the drvibe at the drvibeshow.com. Maybe I need to get that done via AI and going forward. That'd be an interesting idea. And then please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show. Again, YouTube, and also hit the notification button. Also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, the space dr period space VIBE space show. All right. And also to advertise your business, product, or service, email me. dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. I'm going to find a way of AI doing that. Less work for me. I wouldn't forget. Maybe LaLa, what do you think? See if we can get an AI generated. Let's see what we can do about that. All right. As always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourselves grace. And as always, a big thank you to Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia to allow us to broadcast live on the Fly Nubian Queen platform, the Fly Nubian Queen platform, sorry. And make sure you subscribe, especially if you're a Black woman. That'd be great to have you there. All right. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith. Walk good. And we'll see you soon.